theological pipe.
I've been expecting you. Bingo! Yahtzee!
There is a God.
I speak jive.
I'm not him.
So if I were to come on here and say that blacks and Hispanics were too stupid to get on the internet, that they didn't know how to get on the internet to sign up to go get a COVID shot, I think most people would say, well, that's just offensive, stupid, stereotypical, ridiculous, racist. That's what you would say. And here's the thing. I don't believe that for a second. But apparently, the president does. Joe Biden said that yesterday in his CNN Townhall. He said that they asked him about why blacks and Hispanics are not getting the COVID shot in the same percentage or same numbers as other people. And he said basically that blacks and Hispanics don't know how to get online. They don't know how to get online to then get online was the quote. And that's ridiculously stupid. And if you are, and I've explained my politics before, I am conservative on a lot of issues and I'm liberal on some issues. Try to take things as they come and use common sense. And common sense is not used in politics. But here's the thing. If you criticize Trump for the many stupid things that he said, but you give Biden a pass for the idiocy that he just stated that blacks and Hispanics don't know how to use computers, and I'm paraphrasing, but that's what it was. And that would be the headline. If Donald Trump had said that, that would be the headline. Racist Trump says blacks and Hispanics don't know how to use computers. That's exactly what Joe Biden said. And the fact that he's getting a pass from people who criticize, and again, if you criticize Trump, you should criticize Biden. If you praise Trump, you should praise Biden when they do things that are praiseworthy or worthy of critique. And this statement that he said was ridiculous. Another thing that he said in his town hall, which was equally as stupid, was he soft-pedaled and he downplayed the Chinese government's atrocities against the Uighurs. I think that's how you pronounce it, the Uighurs. There are actual concentration camps. These people are being taken away in trains. They're being brainwashed. They are probably being murdered for all we know. Why would you trust a government, the Chinese government, which lies? And at that town hall, he chalked it up to cultural differences and didn't even come out. Here's the thing. If there's concentration camps, they're wrong. They're evil, and we're going to hold the people accountable for it. That should be the end of the statement. But he hemmed and hawed, and he said that sometimes China does things differently because of cultural differences. And no. And so you have two of the dumbest statements that any president could. Again, but what about when Trump said this? Yeah, that was stupid too. What about when Bush said this? Yeah, that was dumb too. What about when Biden said this? Yeah, that was dumb too. But they're not presidents anymore. Joe Biden is. And in the span of just a few minutes, he said blacks and Hispanics don't know how to use computers. And he didn't criticize genocide. He didn't criticize concentration camps. That's not good. That's not good for anybody. And so what we should do, we should demand better of our leaders. We should demand better of people just in general, because I want to kind of segue into something, and it's not really a segue. It's just kind of be what I really was going to talk about. I was going to talk about the passing of Rush Limbaugh. He died from cancer, and there's so many things that could be said about Rush from both sides, and that's fine. What's disgusting and what's just downright satanic is the glee and the joy that some people on social media, they're dancing on his grave, they're making fun of him, they're making fun of his family, they're calling him out for all of his. I mean, listen, he was a political. If you're left wing, he was a political rival. That's fine. And you didn't agree with his politics. That's fine. But I would guarantee that probably most of the people that are criticizing him never listened to his show. I have. And I will tell you the one thing about Rush, whether you are a right-winger and agree with his politics or not, the fact that the guy was on for multiple decades on public radio, like over the public airwaves, will tell you that all the things that people are saying about him, he's racist, he's homophobic, and he's bigoted, he wouldn't have been on the air. They would have pulled his license, but they never did. The fact that he was on the air for that long and was the most listened to radio show, and the fact that it was just him by himself talking for 3 hours each day is remarkable. There are so many people in broadcasting and in podcasting and in radio today that owe him a huge debt of gratitude for what he did. He's just really unparalleled in his success in radio and the way he did it. I always say that, not always say, it's not like I talk about this all the time, but I think there's two trailblazers, two broadcasters that if you're in broadcasting, if you're in podcasting, if you're in media, whether you like them or not, and they're really polar opposites, but whether you like them or not, they deserve your respect for what they did. And neither one of them are evil. Neither one of them are what their opponents say that they are. They're just people. Again, I know that for some reason people on the left like to think that people on the right, because they want low taxes, that means they're racist. And I know people on the right who think people on the left who want higher taxes, that means they're communists. How about they just have a different opinion on taxes and let's talk about it? It seems like we don't want to do that. And there's just such disgusting, evil behavior on social media with people, again, cheering the man's passing, and he just deserves respect. So let me get back. The two guys that I think are just beyond incredible when it comes to being entertaining, being able to keep an audience, being able to connect with people. Number one, Rush Limbaugh. And again, rest in peace. I hope and pray that he found peace with God. I hope and pray that he's resting and there's no pain and there's no sorrow. There's no anxiety. There's no pain from the cancer. It's a horrible way to die. And he had a wife. He had family. He had people that loved him. So, whether you liked him or not, if you have a soul, if you have any human decency, you hope that he finds his peace and his rest, and you hope his family is okay. And putting those hateful, disgusting, again, I say satanic things on social media, which might get back to them, is just heartless. It's disgusting, and it's disgusting when it happens from the other side too. Some left-wing person passes away. Man, rest in peace. They got a family. They got friends. They have people that love them. If you allow politics to turn you into a heartless, hateful ghoul, then your politics is evil. Your politics is wrong. You need to really rethink some of those things. So, so I keep getting on a rant there. But Rush Limbaugh, again, radio God, little g. This is Theological Pipe. There's only one God. But Rush Limbaugh, radio genius, and the other one's Howard Stern. And again, polar opposites. And they both did it the opposite way. Rush Limbaugh was a one-man show. He came in, he talked for 3 hours about his opinions on politics, and he was the most listened to radio show in the history of radio. Wrap your head around that for a second. Politics, which is a horrible, boring subject most of the time, 3 hours, one man's opinion, and he was the most listened to radio show in the country, in the world probably. And that's amazing. That's a feat in itself, and that deserves respect to me. And then Howard Stern, again, did it opposite. It wasn't a one-man show with Howard Stern. He invited all these different characters, I'll call them characters, people into his show, and he had an ensemble, and he was extremely honest and didn't hold anything back. And yes, he was rude and vulgar and all those kind of things. But in the end, he made that format work. And again, built one of the largest radio, audiences in the world, and made tons of money when he switched to Sirius XM. He's a pretty good interviewer. He has a lot of musical guests on his show lately. And again, whether you agree with his politics or not is irrelevant to me. Whether you agree with Rush Limbaugh's politics right now is irrelevant. The fact is, these are two radio pioneers that if you listen to sports talk radio and they have those morning zoo type or even the morning zoo type formats where there's 3 or 4 people and they're all playing off each other, you got Howard Stern to thank for that. If you listen to people like politicals talk or any kind of talk, and it's just one guy sharing his opinion, you got Rush Limbaugh to thank for that. And again, two pioneers. We lost one today, and I don't care what people say. It's a loss. It's a sad thing. And I would venture to say that 95% of the people who are posting the horrible, hate-filled posts never listen to him, because if you listen to him, you'd know that he was funny, he was goofy, he did care about people. And again, I haven't listened to him in a long time. It was probably more in the late 80s, early 90s when I listened, and then again, politics kind of just took on a different tone for me, and I just didn't want to listen to those things. But it doesn't change the fact that a man is dead, and if you are reveling in that or find glee in that, that's a sad place to be. When you allow politics to become that huge in your life, that just because someone has different politics, you're going to dance on their grave. And I've seen posts even say, well, I'm not going to offer condolences to my uncle. I'm not going to offer condolences to my grandpa because I know he loved Rush Limbaugh. Really? So you have a family member that's hurting for whatever reason. You're not gonna give them a pat on the back. You're not gonna give them a virtual hug and tell them I hope they're okay. I mean, what a disgusting thing to say, right? And again, he wasn't a Nazi. He wasn't a racist. Did he make mistakes? Absolutely. Did he say things that he probably regrets? I know he did, because I've read interviews where he says those things. But the fact of the matter is, the reason most people hate him now or are hating on him is because he's a right wing. He's a Republican. And that's just as sad and silly as people hating on people because they're Democrats. Just what a horrible place to be in your life, where you have to revel in the death of somebody else, regardless of who they were. Again, if Hitler died, that's fine. We're happy he's dead, but he's not Hitler. And that's the problem, is nowadays with this intersectionality and all these silly tribes that we try to paint ourselves into, we seem to think that if we're in the correct tribe and there's somebody else outside of our tribe, they're evil, therefore anything I do is justified. So I'm going to be the party of tolerance and love and respect, but if you're not part of that party with me, then I can be intolerant, and I can be hateful, and I can be bigoted towards you, and I can paint you with a broad brush, and I can be a horrible person to you, because you're not in this little group with us. You haven't assimilated to the Borg, and so therefore you either assimilate or we're gonna, we can bunch you in the group with, well, you're Hitler, you're evil, and therefore it's okay to dance on your grave, and that's, again, what a silly, scary place for us to be right now, and we really need to be better, and I think that's just something to think about. Whether you liked Rush Limbaugh or not, the dude was the top of his profession for 3 decades, and did it all by himself. I know he had other people working with him, but one man's opinion, just talking for 3 hours, and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people listen to him. And I would say, if you don't like him, go watch some of the clips of people sharing of the good things that he did. Can you find clips of him saying, offensive things? Sure. But if you know that that's one of the things he did was to poke fun at people and use satire to make a point. And that's usually what people, there's people today even sharing fake things. Well, he used to have these segments where he would, play music and laugh at people that died. No, he didn't. But tons of people are sharing that and saying he's despicable. See, this is what he used to do. And then people are like, well, no, here's the article that shows that that's not true. That's a lie. But doesn't prevent people from sharing it to try to pile on the man and make it seem that it's okay to revel in the death of somebody. What we need to be better. We need to do better. So rest in peace, Rush Limbaugh. Again, whether you liked him or not is irrelevant, right? He's a human being, and he's dead. And here, let me change tactics here for a minute. If you're a believer, if you are a believer in God, if you are a Christian, I don't care if you're a Republican Christian or a Democrat Christian, and it shouldn't even be that way. Christian should modify who you are, not your political party. But be that as may, if you are a Christian and you have hateful thoughts about the death of somebody, you really need to check yourself. If you are a Christian who idolized the guy, he shouldn't be idolized either. He's just a man. We don't idolize men or women. We idolize, we worship God and God alone. And we need to remember that. There was another sad, unfortunate incident with one of a really great Christian apologist in terms of his effectiveness, Rabbi Zacharias. And I liked him. I liked some of his videos. I think he did a really good job in explaining things to people who had doubts. It turns out that he was, getting massages and having sexual favors on the side apparently for a long time. And it came out, and there's people that are just devastated by it. And again, rightfully so. Horrible behavior. Shouldn't be doing that. Unrepentant behavior. And the thing is you have to remember, you're not worshiping the man. You're not worshiping the messenger. You're worshiping Jesus. You're worshiping God. And that's why when you have Christian superstars, it's really dangerous because they're going to let you down because they're human, right? The only superstar should be Jesus. The only superstar should be God Almighty. And when you venerate people, that becomes a danger. So again, in the passing of Rush Limbaugh, it's a sad thing. It's a big loss for people who consider themselves conservative. He was effective. He did a great job at radio, but we don't idolize him. You don't idolize people, and you shouldn't demonize people either, right? We're all sinners. We all fall short of the glory of God. We all need a Savior. His name's Jesus. And again, for anyone that passes away, my hope is that they came to know Jesus before they died. And from all accounts that I can see, he was a believer. So he's a sinner just like the rest of us. And I hope he finds peace. I hope his family is okay. And I hope that the division in this country, as it becomes more exposed when something like this happens, again, just log on to Twitter and look at the tweets for and against Rush, and that shows a huge division. I hope that as those divisions are exposed, it opens up everyone's eyes, it opens up our hearts and says, we don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like that. You don't want to be like that. If you're a Republican and you hear that something bad happened to Joe Biden or Obama or somebody else, some older politician, no, don't revel in it. Don't be gleeful in it. Be sad. Right? Have a heart, have compassion. Same thing if you're a Democrat and something bad happens to a Republican, shame on you if your first reaction is, yay, this is awesome. I just think we could do better than that. And so hopefully that even in the division that's out there, that as light gets shined on it, it disinfects it, and we can start to heal and come together and be better as humans. Because man, what I've seen over the past few hours is there's so many people that are putting politics as their god, and so many people that are just hateful and hurting and in need of a cleansing in the soul. And man, that comes through Jesus. So if you're listening to this and you're a Rush Limbaugh fan, I hope you rest in peace. And again, he was one of the best that ever did it, one of the best that ever did radio, and you can't take that away from him, whether you agree with his politics or not. If you're a Rush Limbaugh hater, and you just didn't like his politics and you didn't like the way he played the game, if you don't think that the other side doesn't play the game the same way, but you put up with it when it's we need to stop and focus and start loving each other and start praying for each other and start lifting each other up and start, trying to knock down the walls of division. It's really a thing that we need to strive for. So, again, rest in peace, Rush. One of the best to do it. This was kind of a rambling one. I went from Biden saying stupid things to Rush and Howard Stern, back to Rush, and to us to be better. But what are you going to do? It's a free form podcast here. So put that in your theological pipe and smoke it. We'll see you next time. Be nice.
Well, bye.